Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Amar Alman, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we are absolutely thrilled to have Matt Chute. I hope I'm pronouncing that.
Yeah, Matt Chute.
Chute, perfect. The
Yeah.
founder and CEO of Chute Media. This is a full-service marketing and design agency. Chute Media specializes in social media management, branding, web design, videography, and more, aiming to craft compelling stories that captivate and resonate with audiences. With a passion for blending unique creativity with strategic vision, Matt and his team are dedicated to delivering media that doesn't just catch attention, but holds it. Matt, welcome to Founders Future.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course, I'm super excited to dive in. I always like to start from the beginning. So take us back to before you started your company. What was the motivation, the inspiration behind starting it, and what problems were you looking to solve in the market?
Yeah, definitely. So it goes way back to when I was 6 years old. My dad taught me how to sell on eBay. So the first thing I ever sold on eBay was a stopwatch. I was 6 years old. Basically, he brought me to a yard sale. He was like, "Hey, you should get this. I think it would be worth something." So I got it. He taught me how to like research and how to list it, everything like that. And then I listed on eBay and it sold for $50. I was
Wow.
super excited because I was 6 years old. So I thought I was rich. So I was like, oh, let's go. So he let me package it myself. Long story short, when it got there, it was broken.
Mm,
So the guy had to ship it back, had to refund it. But my dad taught me just because something's broken doesn't mean it's worthless anymore. So I put it back on eBay, started at 99 cents, ended up selling for like almost $40. So I was like, this is crazy. Can't believe it sold
yeah.
for this amount, even though it was broken. So that's like where I started my entrepreneurial journey. And throughout like my life, my dad would always take me to yard sales, estate sales, and I'd buy and flip things. And then so when I turned 18, I started my own estate sale company. And I did that for a few years. And I actually gave it to my dad. He was a GM at a local hardware store and kind of I was getting into a bunch of different things. I got into real estate. I was still in college. So I was like super busy. So the opportunity to give it to him, allow him to do that full time, I was like, definitely want to do that. So I gave it to him. And then I continued on in real estate. And then I started a moving company. And then we opened up a shop 2 weeks before lockdowns for COVID. Long story short, we did all these different ventures. I keep saying we, so me and my wife, we've been together since I was 17, she was 16. And she is also entrepreneurial. She had a cleaning company throughout college that did really well. We both went to college for marketing. I went to Penn State. She went to a local smaller college called Geneva. But yeah, so we did all these different businesses. They did pretty well, but we came to a point where we were like, we didn't love the industries that we were in, but we
Mm,
really loved the startup process and we loved the branding, we loved the marketing of it. We both have our degrees in it too. So we were like, I think it's time that we finally just start the marketing company. So
yeah.
that was the beginning of Shoot Media. We actually started off, our name was Omni Marketing and Design. Then we
Yeah.
switched to Shoot Media. But yeah, that's where we started. And we live in a really small town. It's called Beaver County. And basically, there's other companies in the area, but no one that really did like the full service like we wanted to do. So we do professional videography and photography for all of our social media clients. And we try to give them as much exposure and attention as possible, especially with us living in a small town. And we live close to Pittsburgh, and we do have Pittsburgh clients, but we have a big heart for the town where we live in too. So
I
that's kind
love
of in a nutshell, like how it all
Yeah,
got started.
I appreciate you breaking that down. It sounds like you have a wealth of experience in various different industries and an eclectic background.
Yeah,
That's that story when you were six. That's very cool. And you find that a
thank
lot of
you.
entrepreneurs have similar stories where it's like they start off with a lemonade stand or maybe just selling random things from garage sales and reselling
Yeah,
them.
exactly.
That's super cool. Help us, the listeners that know nothing about your company.
Hmm.
Let's understand right now today, who's your core ICP? Who do you love to work with? And what are the different offers and services, packages that you guys provide?
Yeah, for sure. So I we like working with startups, but to be brutally honest, that's not really our bread and butter because a lot of times capital is small, especially in like our small town. So we like working with people that are more so like medium sized, maybe 5+ employees. They've already been in business for a little while because we can help them make the jump from say they're making 100,000 or 150,000, make that jump up that they've been trying to do on their own and really dive into doing, like I said, the professional videography and photography and also doing like Facebook and Google ads because we monitor and create those for our clients as well. So I would say that's kind of like our ideal client. I feel like what was your full question?
Yeah,
So I
this
can keep
the
answering.
second question was, what are the different offers and services or packages that you guys provide? How is that laid out?
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So thanks for recentering me because I
Or
forgot for a second. But yeah, like I was saying, our main client is like social media content. So that's us coming out. We're doing the videography, we're doing the photography, we're doing the planning beforehand. We're setting the goal with the client of what it is. Is it brand awareness? Is it conversions? Is it at the end of the day, obviously they want a return on their investment, but it's still important to know what kind of content we're going to make based on that goal that they have. So that's our main I'd say our main offering, but we do have a team. It's not just me and my wife. We also have a full-time editor. We have another full-time graphic designer. And then on the web development, web design end, we actually have a third partner and another designer for that as well and developer. Social media is like our main, but also we do a lot of websites. We do a lot of ads. A lot of times clients will just end up using us for one thing. A lot of times it ends up as just, hey, I want you to do this video for me. So I did the video and then it turns into, oh, you can do this, you can do that. Can you help me promote this video? And then it's like a snowball effect to doing
for
all of
sure.
their stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, it starts off with one, then it trickles to a bunch of other things. So it sounds like
exactly.
you guys are a full service agency, primarily focused on the social media content, but then you have also other avenues when it comes to digital marketing that you can help them out with.
Exactly.
Do you only focus on a specific geographical area, or can you help people nationwide?
So right now, we most of all of our efforts, we just focus more on like Pittsburgh and Beaver County. So anytime we're doing an ad, we're like, that's like our hook at the beginning. Hey, Beaver County. Hey, Pittsburgh. But
Yeah,
we aren't limited to this area for most of our services. So obviously for the in-person, like videography, photography, they'd have to be paying me pretty well to get me to travel. But besides that, we can do social media management if they're providing us with the content. We do have some clients that just give us the content. We do all the editing and the planning and everything like that. And then obviously web design, web development, we can do anywhere. We just actually had a consultation with someone who's from Chicago and we just did a Zoom call just like this. Limited in the sense of usually the content capture unless it's worth it for us to travel. But all the other services we can do remotely, all the ads, things like that.
got it. Yeah, so it really depends what they're looking for and what service they need
Exactly.
at that time.
Yeah.
How long do you typically work with clients? Do you find that your typical engagement lasts?
So that's a great question. So right now, so we started about, we're on our fourth year now. And we still have clients that were with us 6 months in, then some other clients that aren't. And I'm trying to think, we haven't really had a bad experience, knock on wood,
Yeah.
but more so just a different direction, especially when you're in a small town. Sometimes they just have personal things too that they're like, hey, you know what? I'm kind of content where I'm at, kind of thing.
Yeah,
But we have clients from, like I said, 3 years, 3+ years old that have been with us, and then obviously getting new clients all the time too.
for
So I
sure.
would say our newest client is with social media. He's a month old. And then we have, like I said, other clients that are 3+ years.
Cool.
Yeah.
Help us understand that section of the business in terms of client acquisition. For your business, how do you generate leads for these different companies that you can service?
Yeah. So for the other companies, or you
For
said,
no, for
right?
you guys, for
Oh,
for
for ourselves. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
So I was gonna say we do a variety of different things. My wife, she has her own podcast, so she's building her brand. I'm
yeah.
building
Nice.
my brand. I'm working on a series right now called Hidden Gems of Beaver County, which I did back 3 years ago, and it did really well. It was actually, I can't remember how many years ago. It was before I actually got into videography, so it was just shot on an iPhone, and it was more so when I was doing focusing on real estate. So I actually we got our first marketing client from that, like a couple months later when we started the marketing company. So I'm revamping that, doing it all like professionally. So we professionally filmed and everything like that and mastered. So personal stuff, personal brand stuff. I've actually gotten clients just from DMing people on Facebook. And I'm like, hey, I did a video for a similar business in your area. Can I shoot it over to you for you to check it out? If you think it's good, then maybe we can talk about me doing a video for you. If you think it sucks, you can just ghost me. And things like that, kind of like down to earth, actually. usually work out pretty well. Usually
Yeah.
I'll get some type of response, whether it's them saying, yeah, shoot it over, I'll take a look at it, or it's, hey, I'm not really in the market to do a video right now, but thanks for reaching out. And then another thing that we've been doing that's been really helpful for us, we started in January, once a month, we'll do something called the growth table. And
Okay.
basically it's an event that we host at an upscale restaurant slash venue in our area.
Got
And
it.
we incur the cost of all the meals. So our largest one we had was about 30 people, and it's all business owners. So we'll make an ad, we'll boost it, or not boost it, but we'll go in Meta Suite, make it into an actual ad targeting a certain demographic. And we usually do a 10-mile radius of our office, which is it's called Beaver. And that usually does really well. We get a lot of people in, even if we don't initially get like the business from someone in the crowd, we're making really good connections and they become a referral source. So we've gotten people from these sessions that have signed on with us for social media. We've had people that have just did like a one-time strategy session with us. We've had someone that's actually just referred us to another business like a month down the road. So we've done 4 of these events so far. They've all been really good, and we're going to do another one in June.
Very cool.
But yeah, so those are all kind of our main things. And then
Yeah.
obviously there's always like word of mouth and things like that. But those are the 3 things that we've really been focusing on.
Got it. And I like that growth table because you're planting a bunch of seeds
Yeah,
and
exactly.
so it calls also a warm environment. It's fun. People get a chance to network, meet each other. What have you found to be the most effective client acquisition strategy for you guys?
I would say in the past like 6 months, maybe I would say that. And this is probably going to be a weird answer because I'm looking at it even from not maybe acquiring the client yet, but the growth table events that we've been doing have been so effective for us because those ads we're doing too. People who haven't attended our event yet, they've saw me in like a store. Hey, I saw you on Facebook. And then my mother-in-law was at an event for her like church, and there were like 3 people that came up to her and were telling her, "Oh, we see your son-in-law and your wife, or your son-in-law and your daughter all over like Facebook. They're doing an awesome job. That's cool. So cool that they're in with it's called the Willows, which is like I said, the upscale restaurant. So like the perception that even besides like the client acquisition that it's put around us has like really, I think, stepped us up in our marketplace, I guess you'd say.
For sure, yeah, I can see how it can create a halo effect in a sense.
Yeah, exactly. That's a
Oh,
great way to put it.
those people. Do you find that because it's not centered around client acquisition per se, obviously there's stuff that gets comes as a byproduct of that. Do you find that it could be inconsistent at times, or how has your experience been with that?
That's a great question. So my belief is the way I'm not a big salesperson, which I feel like a lot of times kind of have to be when you're marketing advertising, but I'm more so on the side of it where it's just provide as much value to these people as possible. And in turn, someone is going to see the value that you're giving them, and they're going to want more of it. You know what I mean? That turns into them working with you. I don't think there's ever a time that you could go wrong by just helping someone out. You know what I mean? So that's what we do in those sessions. We have the free dinner, and then I do a 15-minute talk, and then Amanda does a 15-minute talk. Usually it's pre-picked. We've done just like social media 101. I did one on AI. One time we had people actually vote from 5 different topics that they could choose from. But yeah, I always tell people too, like younger people that are starting out too, it's go on LinkedIn, find 10 people that are in like find a real estate agent, find a mortgage broker, find a painter. Go find those 10 people a client out of like your sphere of influence because you probably know someone that is going to paint soon or you know someone who's going to sell soon. If you find 10 people, clients in turn, and some point, at least one of those 10 people are going to pay you back in return by giving you a referral as well.
100%. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that. Add value,
Yeah,
ask.
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's old Gary V.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
I forget what would you call that catchphrase or phrase? I don't know,
Yeah, he
but
calls it like jab, right hook or something like
yeah,
that.
something like
Yeah.
that. But to help us understand, speaking of sales, once somebody does come in as a lead, what are the steps in the process for them to actually be a client, the sales process?
Yeah, so I was going to say initial thing is obviously consultation. We meet with people usually if they're in the area, usually one-on-one, or we can do Zoom, like I said earlier. And then basically our session looks like, A, we're trying to figure out what their goal is. And then from there, we're creating our packages around their goals. So we don't really have, like I've had people in the past say, hey, shoot me over your social media pricing. And I'm always like, it's not really just like one set thing. It's based on what your goal is. And then we just form it around that. So that's the first step of our process is
Well,
figuring out what their goal is, what they can handle. Because even though we're doing all the video and photo on our end, it still takes a commitment from their end because they have to be available to do video or photo or have someone in their business that's able to and willing to do it. They have to have themselves or someone in their business that's able to do the like in our software, we send the post to them first. And it's a really easy process. They just approve or they can decline it and add a note. So that to be available to do that. So it's just establishing, I don't know a better word to say, but other than like ground rules, I
yeah,
guess, or like what to expect.
yeah,
Then once everything like that, once they're good with that, go with the pricing, come up with the package. Onboarding looks like we have a contract, obviously, to protect ourselves. So if someone's watching this that you don't do contracts, make sure you do contracts because even someone seems like your best friend, really hit off with the client, you
yep,
still want something in writing. So at least two, you guys have a reference to go back to a scope of work, especially like I said, we have a client that we've been working with for 3+ years. It was like
yeah,
6 months ago. I was like, I have to go back. I was going to say, I can't remember exactly how many stories we're supposed to do a week for them. So I was like, I got to make sure we're doing the right amount of stories because
yeah.
after a long time, it gets, you know what I mean? Yeah, contract. And then from there, we brainstorm and create a schedule for them. And the plan, once the plan's set, we send it to them. If there's anything they want to add or tweak, we can do that together. It looks like that part is a lot of like collaboration with the client. And then we schedule for us to come out and film, whether it's me or one of our videographers or photographers, capture the content, give it to our editor, then the editor sends it to us. And then in the end, we're scheduling it, clients approving it or declining it, then it gets posted. And that's it. That's kind of the steps of
Pretty
what we do.
straightforward.
But social media at least. And all the others are pretty similar, but just obviously
The
depending on
fulfillment is a little bit different.
yeah, exactly.
Sure. What do you feel like is the biggest challenge you're facing right now as a business owner?
The biggest challenge I'm facing, I would say I'm inherently not a super organized person. So another part of my story is when I did all those different businesses, came to a point where I said, whatever business I do next, I want to be able to have the ability to use my creativity and be creative because I was in pretty dry industries like moving, real estate. So that's how I got into videography, photography. I'm not a super organized person. So right now it's implementing and putting the right people in place to take over a lot of the organizational roles and things like that. Like right now, we're about to make a hire for like financials, taking care of everything like that. So I don't have to worry about it. I can just go on, see where we're at. Everything's clean and simple. And so I would say that I guess scaling internally is like, I don't want to say we're like struggling too hard with it, but that's kind of like the obstacle, I guess you would say we're like overcoming right now is scaling properly with the right team.
Yeah, like internal operations in a sense.
Yeah, exactly.
When you think about, I guess, your vision, your goals, your aspirations, where you want to take the company, walk us through that. What are your top priorities over the next 12 months? Are there specific performance targets, revenue targets? Do you want to expand more globally? What does that look like?
Yeah, so over the next, I'd say next 12 months, I want to get more. So we have a lot of clients that just do social media or just there, I guess you would say, kind of what I said at the beginning, our bread and butter isn't like the startups, but we did have a lot of people along the way that we brought on, like client wise, that were other smaller things like that. We still love to do that. But I guess I'd say in the next 12 months, we want to build our portfolio of the higher ticket clients, I guess you'd say. So someone that we're doing everything for, we're doing the social media, the ads, we're doing their podcast for them, everything like that. And we do have a few that are like that, but just growing that side of our portfolio with our client base. And then the other thing, trying to think what other, I'd say that's one of our main goals, just continuing to keep really good communication with our team as we grow. You know what I mean? So I would say that's another one of our goals as we onboard people, just provide a good culture, provide a space where people can be themselves. And we don't want to, I'm really big on not like leading with fear. So I want people to be a part of our culture and be happy with what they're doing, be inspired by what they're doing, but also respect like the authority that me and my wife have. You know what I mean? So it's like we've experienced like in the past few years where people handled like our culture well, and then others where we felt like we were almost like taken advantage of a little bit
Yeah,
because they perceived us as being laid back, where we're not like laid back with our goals, we're not laid back with our visions, but we just wanted to not lead with fear. So balancing all that and like leading correctly.
for sure. I love that. I love that. Lead with, I don't want to say love because that's kind of cliche, but it
Yeah.
is,
I say kindness
yeah,
usually.
yeah, lead with
Yeah.
kindness instead of fear. And
Yeah,
have
exactly.
that be instilled into the culture, that's huge.
Yeah.
When it comes to the high ticket clients where you're doing almost everything for them, what do you feel is the biggest thing that's slowing down that growth and getting more clients like that?
I would say honestly, probably just us, the lack of targeting those people.
Yeah.
Because with kind of talking back about the growth table events, that's
Yeah.
attracting more the Beaver County people because that's who we're targeting with that. And those bigger ticket item or bigger ticket clients are going to be more so in the city. So Pittsburgh. So
Sure.
we're only about 40 minutes from the city, but I guess we've gotten caught up with just growing more so in our small town. So targeting more towards that way, I would say that's been the biggest like obstacle or hurdle. And just we haven't been very intentional about it. But it's funny you ask that because me and my wife actually just had a meeting earlier about like next steps to go after those clients.
Anything you're willing to share with the audience?
Yeah, so we're going to be doing a lot more ads in that specific area and more so talking about how we're full service rather than just promoting social media. So the two things we're going to try to do is A, promote that we're all service, but then also promote just like video, the Facebook ad pairing, because we feel like a lot of those clients that hire us for that will convert to the all around. Over
Yeah,
the past few years, we've noticed that people that have hired us for ads end up just hiring us for everything. So we felt like doing that as well, like targeting in Pittsburgh, it'll work out well for us in the long run.
very cool. That's exciting. If you could go back in time travel and speak to your younger self, maybe you and your
Mhm.
wife, right before you guys started the company, what advice would you give yourself at that point? What do you know now that you wish you knew at the time?
I would have said, don't worry so much about what to post, but post more. Post at least once to twice a day. And I would have given ourselves the idea about doing the event a lot sooner.
Yeah,
Like doing that Grow Table event. Those are the two main things I would say. Yeah, I
you
would
wouldn't
say, yeah, that's what I would say.
you wouldn't say buy Bitcoin? No, I'm
Well,
joking.
and that's actually a funny story because my dad always tells everyone. So it was like 2008, it was like
Yeah,
$8, and I was like 10 years old at that point, or I was like 10 or I was 12 actually, 2008, and I told him to buy Bitcoin, and he had no idea. He like
that's
it's like that
hilarious.
doesn't make sense. He was like, why would I buy that? I was like, it's just it was literally like $8 at the time, and I was like, just buy one. I was like, so worst case scenario, you lose $8. So he always tells people, he's like, if I listened to my son when he was 12, I'd be a billionaire by now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. What's the best way for people to reach you?
Best way for people to reach me, so they could follow me on socials at underscore not shoot, or you could follow our shoot media account at shoot media pgh, or you go on our website shoot.media. It's super easy. And or you could even email me at it's matt at shoot.media. It's all very much the same. So
I love
yeah,
it. So that wraps up another insightful episode of Founders Future. Thank you so much, Matt, for sharing your journey and your insights with us today. For our listeners,
of
if you're
course,
inspired by today's conversation, don't forget to subscribe to Founders Future on all platforms. And if you're looking to scale your business, if you're a coach, consultant, or an agency, and you want to enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to discover how we can support your growth journey. Until then, keep on climbing.